Welcome back to another episode of 3M Recap English. Today, we embark on a new story titled, Logging 10,000 Years into the Future, also known as Apex Future Martial Arts. Let's dive right into it. Have you ever woken up from a nightmare and found yourself in another nightmare? Lu Sheng was now. Lu Sheng. A stern voice exploded in his ears like a thunderclap. Lu Sheng looked up dazedly, his face still showing the bewilderment and confusion of having just woken up from sleep. The middle-aged man on the podium pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose and stared at him fiercely with a look seethed with hatred. There are just over 200 days left before the college entrance exam. You don't even think about working hard for your exams, yet still have the heart to sleep in class. With this attitude, even if you graduate and go to a construction site to move bricks, they may not want you. Do you know what the minimum blood standard for cement workers on construction sites is these days? 0.8. And has your blood chi value reached 0.8? Ellipsis quote. Lu Sheng lowered his head, rubbing his swollen temples while obediently listening to the class teacher castigate him. The little fatty sitting on his left secretly turned his head to look at him. Having nightmares again? Lu Sheng nodded, not saying anything, but with a strong look of helplessness in his eyes. He had been dreaming the same dream frequently for 3 days. Lu Sheng could not describe what kind of dream it was, only remembered that the scene in the dream was very dilapidated, desolate and depressing. He stood bewildered on top of a wilderness, with roaming monsters all around. It was a nightmare, there was no doubt in it, because after encountering this dream, he became very drowsy, and the quality of sleep turned incredibly poor. Although he slept for more than 12 hours a day, he looked like he had been sleep-deprived due to insomnia continuously for the past few days. So much so that during these 3 days, Lu Sheng's blood chi value BQV had slipped by 0.02. 0.02 Ah! How many tonic pills, and how many days of workout would he need to make up for this loss? Lu Sheng's mood was simply terrible. After school, Lu Sheng walked listlessly on the way out of school with his backpack. Someone called his name and came up from behind, blocking his path. Lu Sheng, heading to the internet cafe, huh? It was the little fatty from the classroom during the day. His name was Lu Qiming, and he was considered one of Lu Sheng's few friends. Facing Lu Qiming's invitation, Lu Sheng shook his head. No, I'm not going. I'll go home. Going home so early, it's not like your style. Let's go to the cafe, I'll pay for all the drinks and charges today. Lu Qiming patted his chest and sincerely invited. But Lu Sheng still shook his head and explained, I really don't want to go. I want to go back early to catch up on my sleep. You slept all day in class today, and you're still sleepy. Lu Qiming had an exaggerated expression on his face. Lu Sheng did not bother to explain, he waved his hand and continued to walk forward. Lu Qiming still wanted to persuade Lu Sheng when several boys called him from afar. Lu Qiming, are you going to the cafe or not? I'll be there, right away. Lu Qiming took a final look at Lu Sheng, did not say anything else. He left Lu Sheng and sped towards the other few boys running ahead. Lu Sheng watched Lu Qiming's distant back, during which students in black and blue uniforms kept passing by him on both sides. These people bustled towards the school's entrance and quickly scattered away in all directions, like a murky river moving. Far away in the midst of the hustle-bustle, Lu Sheng let out a soft sigh as the thoughts in his mind began to churn. He had almost forgotten that he had been living in this world for 18 years. Lu Sheng's memories of his previous life had turned very vague, and sometimes he even wondered if it was all just a dream. A dream that he would do over and over again from his childhood. Just like the recurrent one he had been dreaming about lately. No house, no car, alone, white collar, hiking, fell off a cliff, wake up. Lu Sheng murmured the few keywords under his breath, and his eyes gradually became empty and distant until he recited the last word. Transmigration. Yes. Lu Sheng had crossed over. In that world of his previous life, there were no martial arts, and there were no monsters that ran out of the cracks in the ground. What was broadcasted on the TV news was not news of the monster attacks and martial arts master duels. The students in the school did not fret over their blood chi value BQV, combat power index CPI, combat class results, but the endless slogging over mathematics, science and foreign language papers. Sometimes Lu Sheng would feel quite nostalgic over that world, because at least that world had peace and quiet. Lu Sheng pushed open the door to his home. He saw his dad, Lu Hai, lying naked on the arm of the sofa, and his mother, Zheng Yufan, tearing open a plaster to find a suitable spot on Lu Hai's back. Lu Sheng noticed his dad's patched up back. His eyes stung for a moment, and he shouted, "I'm home. Are you hungry? Why don't you eat an apple first? I'll cook right away." Zheng Yufan said to Lu Hai while pressing the poultice firmly on his back. Lu Sheng shook his head and dragged his school bag in the direction of his room. He stopped halfway, turned his head to the sofa and whispered, "Why not go back to buy a blood moxibustion device? That thing can stimulate the blood, relax the tendons and activate the body. Massage healing will also very useful. My classmate's house has a... Hey, what kind of injury do you think I have? I'll be fine in a few days. That is money that we might as well put aside and buy you tonic." Lu Hai quickly vetoed Lu Sheng's proposal, then made an effort to turn his head to look at him. "How is your recent blood chi value? Did you break through to 0.85? I saw on the news today that the cutoff for this year's college entrance examination for undergraduates will be increased by 0.01. I know, I'll go back to my room to exercise." Lu Sheng's chest immediately tightened as he heard those words, and he rushed into his room. He had a weak heart. If Lu Hai came to know about his recent blood chi value, which not only had not gone up, but taken a plunge instead, he was afraid that his dad would jump from the sofa and smack him with the shoeboard fiercely out of sheer anger. Lu Sheng closed the door to his room and breathed a sigh of relief. Only when he stayed in this small room that belonged to him alone did he have a chance to relax. The room was not large, with a single bed and desk in the corner. In the middle was a 2x1.5 meters black yoga mat, which was surrounded by dumbbells, grippers, sandbags, and other exercise equipment. This could also be considered Lu Sheng's martial arts exercise room and break room. Lu Sheng put down his school bag, took off his coat and pants, and then sat down on the yoga mat. The reason he came back immediately after school was, in fact, because he wanted to exercise more and more. He wanted to make up for the loss in his blood chi value due to the recurrent nightmares he'd been having for the past 3 days. The actual fact was that he was at the age where his body was developing rapidly in all aspects. And it should be at a stage where the blood chi value should be soaring. Unless you were injured or were seriously ill, it was almost impossible to have a decline in blood chi value at this age. So Lu Sheng's situation could be considered very grave, and was to be treated and corrected in time. After calming down a bit, Lu Sheng took a deep breath and silently recited in his heart, 13th set of radio gymnastics, start. Subsequently, Lu Sheng's body began to pose one movement after another. These movements were somewhat similar to yoga, but they were very different from yoga, and it was quite apt to use gymnastics to describe them. The World Martial Alliance's 24 forms of martial refinement, said to be created by the masters of the alliance based on ancient yoga, ancient martial arts, ancient jujitsu, etc. They are most suitable for giving beginners in martial arts a foundation. The version I am practicing now is the 13th version after revision and correction, and the effect is several times better than the first version of the first generation. Ever since the world changed drastically more than 300 years ago, when a rift appeared in the heaven and earth, and numerous strange and horrible monsters emerged from the sundered earth, the trajectory of the world's development changed completely. After most of the thermal weapons lost their effectiveness in fighting the monsters, human beings began to look for new ways and means to defend themselves. Perhaps because of the emergence of monsters, facing the enormous pressure of genocide, a certain genetic lock in the human body was broken. Individual strength rose to peaks that were never before thought possible. Hence, martial arts began to shine. Martial arts developed at a rapid pace, changing day by day. Everyone began to practice martial arts and strove to cultivate. This has become the current trend. But even so, in the battlefield, fighting against the monsters that encroached and swallowed up human territory, humans were still at an absolute disadvantage. And every day another town or city fell in the hands of these monsters, and human population continues to dwindle. This is what the class teacher told Lu Sheng and the others from time to time. You were born in an era of turmoil and must shoulder the responsibility of this era. You were to practice martial arts for the rise of humanity. Each of you is the spark of the martial path. Hoo. Lu Sheng stopped practicing those body movement exercises and sat on his yoga mat slowly adjusting his breathing. He did the 24 sets of body movements of the body refining technique 3 times in one breath. A thin layer of sweat perspiration out of his body, and his originally pale face had a few more patches of redness. If I have no more nightmares, a week should be enough for me to make up for the deficit of blood chi value, Lu Sheng thought silently in his heart. So far, Lu Sheng hadn't found the reason for his nightmares. He used his phone to look up information on the internet. The causes of nightmares were generally these four: sleeping position, diet, disease, and psyche. The first three factors could be ruled out, but not the psychological stress caused by the approaching college entrance exams. Was that it? Lu Sheng could not confirm. It was reasonable to say that people like him who had experienced 2 lifetimes of college entrance exams should have a much better psychological capacity than normal people. It wasn't necessarily so. Lu Sheng rested while having nonsensical thoughts. While he was thinking, sleep came to him in tides and waves. Lu Sheng unconsciously yawned, his eyelids drooped, his body slowly lay down, and gradually drifted off to sleep. The leaden gray sky, black earth, everywhere filled with a trace of gray fog. Depression, despair, desolation. The first thing that Lu Sheng saw when he woke up was this scene in front of him. It's this nightmare again. Lu Sheng was completely helpless. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Ellipsis quote. Lu Sheng vigorously grabbed the flesh on his arms and face, trying to wake himself up from the dream, but to no avail. Unless a specific point in time did not meet, he would remain here, stuck in this nightmare. A strange sound fell on his ears. It sounded as if it had something stuck in its throat, accompanied by a rustling and dragging sound. Here it comes. A wail went through Lu Sheng's mind. Very quickly, the gray mist not far to his left dispersed, and a tall, stiff human form appeared in front of him. The figure's complexion was gray, the eye sockets had sunken deep inside. It had no eyes, only a pair of hollow sockets staring out. There is a long gash on its face. One could clearly see the gray facial bones, blackened flesh and blood. The humanoid was stiff and slow, wearing a jumpsuit similar to the Super Guts team. Side note: Super Guts Global Unlimited Task Force from Ultraman. But it was already very dirty. Mud and muck caked everywhere. It looked almost exactly the same as the zombies that Lu Sheng had seen in the movies of his previous life. Run. This was the first reaction in Lu Sheng's head. He did the same thing before. The jumpsuit zombie was very slow, and it could not catch up with him. Previously Lu Sheng was in the process of constantly running away, escaping, and gradually losing his consciousness, and then he'd wake up. But this time, Lu Sheng changed his mind. No more running. Lu Sheng rather patronizingly rolled up his sleeves. Anyway, this is a dream. Even if I'm bitten, it does not matter. If I die in the dream, I might wake up faster. Thinking on this line, Lu Sheng simply took the initiative to take a big step towards the jumpsuit zombie. Although my grades in school are not good, but my BQV is at least 0.8. And both by strength and speed, are more than the standard of normal adult male in my previous life. Why would I still be afraid of you, a lowly zombie? Quote. According to the Alliance's standard, a level 1 martial artist's BQV was 1.5, and combat power was 150. The Lu Sheng now could be considered almost half a full-fledged martial artist. Although Lu Sheng's performance in the practical combat class was poor, and he only knew a bit of simple fighting skills, it did not affect his current aura in the slightest. Wind God Kick. Quote. Lu Sheng shouted the name of the move that he had read in the novel in his previous life. He gained momentum by running a distance, and kicked the tall zombie in the chest. The tall zombie thumped back a few steps, and its clumsy body became unstable under the huge impact. It fell on its back to the ground. On the jumpsuit, a clear print of a 41.5 size shoe got stamped. It seems tough, but it's just so. With this kick, Lu Sheng's confidence instantly increased. He saw the tall zombie in the jumpsuit struggling to get up again and hurriedly went up to make up for it. Lu Sheng punched the tall zombie in the face twice with his bare hands. His fist felt like it had been smashed against a sun-dried coconut shell, his hand breaking out raw in pain. Lu Sheng showed his teeth while looking around for tools that could be used. Soon, he found a watermelon-sized stone a few meters away. Lu Sheng grabbed the stone and aimed it at the head of the tall zombie. The weak point of the zombies in the movie are their heads. This should be okay. Lu Sheng mumbled under his breath, and his hand pressed hard. Keiko. The crisp sound of broken bones rang out. The watermelon-sized stone was embedded into the face of the tall zombie, and the body of the tall zombie twitched twice, and then it went completely motionless. It's done. Lu Sheng confirmed the tall zombie death. He then sat on his butt on the ground, breathing heavily. I have to say, this dream's so vivid. Lu Sheng could even feel the sound of his heart beating violently. This still doesn't seem to help me wake up. Lu Sheng muttered, and was about to stand up. At the same time, he saw that the tall zombie in front of him collapse like gravel, and quickly wither and disappear under a few breaths, and there were wisps of black threads of smoke steaming out from within the weathered corpse of the tall zombie. These quickly took an arrow-like form and fiercely rushed into Lu Sheng's chest. Ah! Lu Sheng was stunned. Before he had time to react, he felt a hot stream dispersing from his chest, accompanied by numerous strands of memories, like movie images, rapidly passing through his mind. What do you want to do after graduation? Join the base defense team. I heard that the training of the defense team is very hard and dangerous. It's okay, it's always been my dream. Laughs. From now on, you'll be a member of the 1359th Base Defense Team, number YH48549. Yes, sir, I won't let you down. Excited. Breathing techniques, body refining techniques, these two things you've been taught, practice them when you eat, sleep and even when you go to the toilet. If you have more strength, you will have more chances to save your life when you encounter foreign beasts. Understood, sir. Team 2, Team 2, Team 3, damn, where is everyone? Are they all dead? Stop. Who are you? Number YH48549. Salute. What are you doing here? What squad are you from? Report, sir. Unit 7. Now, get your captain to see me. Report, sir. The captain and the men, they're all dead. I'm the only one left in Squad 7. Silence. Base gate, broken. Phi. There are phi everywhere. Black fog. That's what. Lu Sheng slowly opened his eyes, and his were filled with strong melancholy. It was as if he had watched a long movie. The main character was a tall, handsome teenager. The first half of the movie seemed dull and boring, basically the images of the teenager's painstaking cultivation training. The second half became heavy. One battle after another, each battle was accompanied by blood and death. One by one, the partners around the teenager diminished. The sky was always gray, sadness and pain filled every inch of the memory. Finally, the picture was fixed in the broken city walls, the sky was covered with horrible beasts and large swaths of black fog sweeping over. That world was about to be engulfed by darkness, and before the despair and depression, even Lu Sheng could not help but be moved by it. What the hell did this guy go through before he died? Lu Sheng muttered and whispered. There was no doubt that the memory he had just received should be the memory of the tall zombie that he had killed before he got reanimated. And this memory was simply like an apocalyptic disaster movie. Also, why did I get his memories even though I killed him? Because it was in a dream. Lu Sheng's heart churned with many doubts. Unfortunately, there was no one who could answer these questions. The answer to everything could only be found by himself. Lu Sheng gathered his mood and started walking in the wilderness. Soon, a few more wandering zombies appeared in front of Lu Sheng's eyes. These zombies were wearing dirty and tattered straps. One of them is wearing a yellow helmet on his head. This one looked swell compared to the previous jumpsuit zombie. This time Lu Sheng was not afraid, and directly dashed up to the zombie wearing a yellow helmet. Keiko, the first thing you need to do is to get a good idea of what you're getting into. Looking at the head of the zombie that rolled to his feet like a broken leather ball, Lu Sheng froze for a moment. He looked at his hands, a little incredulous. When did I became so strong? Quote. Lu Sheng recalled the series of movements he had just made. As if he had already used it countless times in real combat, it had almost become instinctive, and he used it subconsciously. That kind of precision and coldness was a realm he didn't even dare to think about before. Could it be that I absorbed the memories of the jumpsuit zombie? Lu Sheng analyzed. The jumpsuit zombie seemed to have been a combatant of a base named 1359 before he was reanimated. Although his strength wasn't strong, he had experienced many battles and was very experienced in actual combat. Lu Sheng absorbed his memories and naturally inherited his skills. It's simply unbelievable. Lu Sheng couldn't help but sigh. Easily gaining someone else's lifetime experience, if only this wasn't a dream. Because it was a dream, whatever unimaginably incredulous events that occurred felt normal. It's strange to say that Lu Sheng has obviously realized that he was dreaming, but he just couldn't wake up. At this time, the zombie that he had just killed began to wind up. The same arrows emerged from a black line of smoke and seeped into Lu Sheng's body. Lu Sheng hurriedly absorbed this part of the memory. This time the memory led Lu Sheng some disappointment. The helmet zombie was just an ordinary plumbing repairman before he was reanimated. The memories that interested him were very limited, almost nothing. The only thing of value was probably from the memories of the helmet zombie that showed that he and the jumpsuit zombie had come from the same place, base 1359. It looks like I need to find that base 1359, maybe there I can about the truth behind this dream, Lu Sheng said to himself. He has now completely treated this dream as a puzzle plus upgrade type of game. Hunting the zombies roaming around the wilderness would provide him with the experience to upgrade, and the clues to proceed to the next step. As for what the clues point to, Lu Sheng didn't know and didn't care. He was simply killing time to make this nightmare interesting and make it not so tortuous. If I want to upgrade a little faster, I still need to find combat class zombies to hunt. Their memories are more helpful to me. As for how to distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, I'll just look at their clothes. But at this time, a dull sound came to his ears. Bang 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 bang. Bang 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 bang. Along with this sound, everything around Lu Sheng became unreal and unstable. A violent smashing sound of the door woke up Lu Sheng. He struggled to open his eyes and slowly sat up from his yoga mat. Then he heard a clear and cold female voice come in through the door. Dinner is ready. How long are you going to nestle in your room? It was the voice of his sister, Lu Qing. Lu Sheng could imagine Lu Qinghei's current expression outside the door to his room. There was a trace of impatience within the coldness. Lu Qing had always despised him as a brother. Lu Sheng was about to turn 18 this year, but his blood chi value was still 0.8, declined to 0.78 in the past few days. Combat power index and practical combat class results were also a complete mess. His total grades were notably below average even within Beihai No. 3 Middle School, which was already considered as a subpar establishment within Beihai City. With such grades, Lu Sheng's college entrance exam score wouldn't be enough for even an undergraduate line. But Lu Qing was different. She had just turned 16 this year, but her last blood chi value test had already exceeded 1.0, her combat power index was over 100, and she was also very talented in practical combat. She currently attends the best high school No. 1 for geniuses in Beihai City. Following this trend, it would be possible for her to get a scholarship for a major martial arts university in 2 years. To sum up in one sentence, Lu Qing is a prodigy, with extraordinary talent. Compared to Lu Qing, Lu Sheng was as mediocre as trash. The cliché combo of a mediocre brother and a genius sister. Although the Lu family didn't favor one child more than the other based on the differences in martial arts talent, Lu Sheng felt that this was exactly the reason why he and Lu Qing have always had a bad relationship. Perhaps in Lu Qinghei's heart, if there wasn't the burden of her mediocre brother, she could have gotten all the family resources poured into her right now, and she could have reached an even greater level. Got it, be right there. Lu Sheng answered, and the knocking outside came to an immediate stop. At that moment, Lu Sheng also regained his lucidity, and he became aware that he had just experienced another nightmare. But, unlike in the past, this time, after the nightmare Lu Sheng didn't feel any sense of discomfort anywhere. Instead, his physical condition was unexpectedly good. No sense of fatigue, no drowsiness, my whole body feels like it's full of energy. Lu Sheng was a little surprised. He tried to remember everything he had experienced in the dream. A few moments later, Lu Sheng was shocked. All those memories that I got from the zombies, I still remember them all vividly. The numerous combat skills that I inherited are all still deeply engraved into my muscle memory, so much so that. Lu Sheng swung his fist in the air. Even my strength feels like it has increased. This was especially unbelievable. It should be noted that strength stems from the qi. The increase in physical strength would inevitably be the result of a rise in qi. If Lu Sheng felt that his strength had increased, wouldn't that mean his blood qi value had also increased? The blood qi value can be increased like this through dreams. Unbelievable. Lu Sheng couldn't believe it, doubting that these were all just his own delusions. Naturally, the most direct way to verify whether it was real or not would be to go and do a full physical test. Let's eat first, then I'll go and find a martial arts training center to test it. Lu Sheng quickly calmed down his excitement, cleaned up a bit, then walked out of his room. Lu Sheng buried his head and gulped rice into his mouth, as if he had been starving for days. As he picked up the empty bowl he ate clean, handing it to his mother Zheng Yufan to ask for another bowl. He suddenly noticed that the 3 people at the dinner table were looking at him in a strange way. Only then did Lu Sheng realize that the amount of food he ate today does indeed seem to be excessive. Forget it, I'm full. Lu Sheng hesitated for a moment and was about to take the bowl back. But it was snatched away by Lu Dehai. What do you mean? How can you stay hungry at home? Wife, please go and cook another pot of rice and stir-fry 2 more dishes. Mother Zheng Yufan nodded and then stood up and left. Lu Dehai looked rather pleased, looking at Lu Sheng with a smile, as he said, boys tend to be like this when they are growing, they never feel full no matter how much they eat. The head goes up. I will go out and buy some pills tomorrow. The development period is a great time to increase the blood qi value, don't waste it. Lu Sheng nodded his head. How much can it be increased? He'll be 18 soon. Next to him, Lu Qing shoved a piece of roasted pork into her mouth, chewing it while making a disdainful noise. Lu Dehai glared at her and said, don't keep discouraging your brother, being able to increase by even a little is a good thing. Those who graduate from Wuhan University with an undergraduate degree and a junior college degree are treated completely differently. Lu Qing skewed her lips, but didn't say anything. Lu Sheng kept silent. To be honest, the amount of food he ate this evening was a shock to even himself. He ate 7 bowls of rice, and still didn't feel full. Mind the fact that Lu Qing usually only eats 5 bowls of rice. And Lu Qinghei's blood qi value was higher than Lu Sheng's by a whole 0.2. And she consistently ate twice as much as Lu Sheng. Maybe the blood qi value has really increased, and it isn't just my delusions. Lu Sheng secretly thought in his mind. Mother Zheng Yufan quickly stir-fried another 2 meat dishes and served them up. Lu Sheng ate 2 more bowls of rice, then said a quick goodbye to his family and directly headed out the door. He couldn't wait to test his current values in all aspects. Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall. Lu Sheng arrived at his destination following the navigation on his phone, stopping in front of the martial arts hall closest to his home. The martial arts hall wasn't very big, even the decor was nothing special, it was just an ordinary private martial arts hall. The owner of this martial arts hall, Ni Hongchuan, is a level 4 martial artist who specializes in traditional fist techniques, and he also was one of the top 10 in the 23rd annual Beihai City Martial Arts Conference. The martial arts hall had an enrollment advertisement posted on the door that Lu Sheng noticed. The words, Level 4 Martial Artist, on the advertisement caught Lu Sheng's attention. Based on the standards released by the Global Martial Union, a martial artist with a peak blood qi value of more than 200 and a combat power index of more than 100,000 would qualify as a Level 4. His blood qi value is 200 times higher than mine, while the combat power index is 100 times higher than mine. Lu Sheng roughly compared himself to Ni Hongchuan in his head and got an exaggerated result. As the martial arts level increases, the difficulty to reach the next level also increases. Level 4 martial artists, even in the entire Beihai city, are regarded as a group of experts with dignified status. Therefore, it seemed that this martial arts hall had a long heritage. But it had nothing to do with Lu Sheng. He couldn't even afford the fees written on the enrollment advertisement. Martial arts students from ordinary families are already barely able to maintain the supplements needed for daily martial arts practice, let alone enrolling in extracurricular classes to learn fist techniques to improve their combat level. That is the privilege that only the children of wealthy families are entitled to. For the children of ordinary families, building a foundation step by step and working hard to improve their blood qi value would be enough. If Lu Qing asks, the family will probably give her the money. Forget it. Besides, since I can absorb memories and martial arts from the zombies in the dreams, I don't really need such training. Lu Sheng thought, striding into the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall. At the front door of the martial arts school was a reception desk. The receptionist was a girl of around 20 years old, appearing quite beautiful. Seeing Lu Sheng, the girl quickly put on a professional smile and took the initiative to greet him. Is this student here to enroll in our martial arts hall's martial arts training classes? Lu Sheng shook his head. No, I'm here to test my blood qi value and combat power index. Generally, martial arts halls provide such assessment services, the results of which are similar to those in schools, and the cost also isn't too high. The receptionist girl swept a glance at the school uniform Lu Sheng was wearing, gave a nod, then said, "All right, please wait a moment." Based on her discernment, she could naturally see that Lu Sheng was one of those kids from an ordinary family, so there would be no point in wasting her time on him. Go down the hallway and proceed to room 8, there are devices for the test inside. Do you know how to operate them? Or do you need me to get someone to help you? The receptionist girl had a fairly good attitude and didn't look down on Lu Sheng. Lu Sheng stated that he could, then took the rental card given by the receptionist girl and followed her directions to the specialized testing room. The device for testing the blood chi value was somewhat similar to a printer, with a small notch at the bottom and a disposable sterile sampling needle placed next to it. Lu Sheng opened the sampling needle, took a little blood from the tip of his left middle finger, and then put it in the notch on the device. A faint blue light appeared on the crimson blood, then the device emitted a soft beep sound, and a value popped up on the device's screen. 0.963. The blood chi value was accurate to the last 3 decimal digits. When Lu Sheng saw the value, he couldn't help but clench his fist firmly even though he had already anticipated it. The blood chi value had really increased. And the increase wasn't small. It went up by 0.18, nearly 0.2. Moreover, this was only the result of him hunting 3 zombies in his dream. This proves that everything I obtained in that dream can really be brought to reality. This is no longer just a game of killing monsters and leveling up, instead. It's true cultivation. Lu Sheng held back his excitement. Nobody would be willing to be mediocre, especially him, who had already lived a mediocre life. Now that he finally saw a glimpse of hope that could allow him to shine in the martial arts world, how could he not be excited and delighted? Let's measure the combat power index now. The device for testing combat power was much bigger, almost as tall as a person, and in the middle of the device was a padded groove. The test only required punching hard at the groove. The memories of the uniform zombie contain techniques for punching. Let's give it a try. Lu Sheng wasn't sure how strong those 2 jumpsuit zombies he killed were when they were alive, but they were definitely stronger than the current him. And the skills and experience they had accumulated through numerous hard training and battles during their lifetime were undoubtedly an even greater treasure to the current him. Phew. Lu Sheng took a deep breath, and his right arm muscles followed the trajectory of the techniques in his memory, and he threw a ferocious punch at the force measuring device. Boom. A number popped up on the force measuring device. 113. The combat power index had reached 113. It had already exceeded the standard combat power index as represented by his 0.96 blood chi value. This should be the bonus of the skill. Lu Sheng finally pulled back his punches with satisfaction. Last year, the undergraduate martial arts score line in Beihai City for blood chi value was 1.05, and the combat power index was 105. In other words, now I have almost reached the standard for the undergraduate line. Even if I can't enter the dream anymore, I will be able to safely enter any of the No. 2 martial arts university after the college entrance exam in just 200 days. Naturally, Lu Sheng's current ambition didn't stop there. The standard blood chi value of an official level 1 martial artist is 1.5, and the standard combat power index is 150. Lu Sheng's goal is to become an official level 1 martial artist recognized by the Global Martial Union before the college entrance exams. The benefits official martial artists receive are just too good. Even if you do practically nothing every month, you can still receive several thousand yuan subsidy from the martial union. Being a level 1 martial artist is also the requirement for many high-paying professions. If I can reach the standard of a level 1 martial artist before the college entrance exam, I may even be able to enter a major martial arts university. And after studying for a few years, no matter whether it's teaching at a martial arts school, or applying to be an officer, all of them have a promising future. At this moment, Lu Sheng keenly felt just how bright his road ahead had become. And all of this was due to a dream that he had just a few hours ago. After the test, Lu Sheng paid a fee of 100 yuan and then quickly returned home. He couldn't wait to enter the dream world again and explore it.